This episode of TechZilla is sponsored by the PSP 3000, NVIDIA, Speak Visual with NVIDIA in your computer. Learn more at speakvisual.com, and the United States Air Force. Coming up on today's show, oh my goodness, Jason Cross and Robert Heron are back, stealing themselves for the flood of questions you sent in. There's going to be some serious toys this holiday season. We found a netbook with a keyboard that doesn't suck, and mini ITX motherboards. Aren't they cute? And there's a lot more coming up, so downshift to third and stick the pedal to the metal, because TechZilla starts now. Welcome to TechZilla. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
So, do you read the manual, RTFM, or do you wing it when you get a new product?
It definitely depends.
Definitely depends.
Definitely depends. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And other times I'm like, I got this.
Do you consider it a fault if you actually have to go to the manual to figure out how something works?
No, not a fault. I mean...
Do you ever get frustrated? Like, this shouldn't require a manual?
Sometimes the manuals are more complicated than the actual product that you've got holding in your hand.
I like the ones from like tier 4 vendors where it's like loosely translated from, usually Chinese, where you've got like inverse word orders and stuff, and you're sitting there like, what is going on here? Actually, I picked up something this weekend for a friend of mine. Actually, a friend of mine picked up something and he called me up, and we couldn't find the power button. We had to read the manual to find the power button.
Really?
I kid you not.
The power button. That's pretty bad. If your product is so poorly designed that you can't find the power button, was it obvious after you found it, or was it like WTF?
That's all I'm gonna. He's watching. I love you, man. Read the manual first before you call him. We spent like 2 hours trying to sort this thing out. Don't ask.
Well, at least it was all solved in the end.
The problem with the batteries weren't in it.
There's that. There's that too.
Was not the manual's
Power button's
fault.
not going to help you much when there's no batteries, eh?
Speaking of no batteries, what's with you and Roger and the zombie festival last night?
Oh, we just had a little Left 4 Dead time last night on Steam.
Yeah, I was protecting Veronica last night. From what? Yeah. Zombies?
He keeps saying that he saved my butt a lot of times, but I was shooting quite a few hunters and smokers and all sorts of guys off his back. So
are these Left 4 Dead terms?
Well, they're just different kinds of zombies, yeah. The smokers, they're all coughing and hacking, and they have a smoke cloud around them, and they shoot their super long tongue out at you and strangle you and pull you back.
They're
super long tongue, yeah. So bleh.
This is like a bad weekend in Vegas.
And then hunters are all like real springy, mean guys that, well, they're all mean, but they sneak
nice
up
zombies.
And they go like, rah! And they land on your back and thrash you all up.
Do the rare part again.
Rah! And then there's boomers, and they explode or throw up all over you.
Veronica Belmont, human lolcat. Come on, do the rawr one more time.
Rah!
I'm telling you, you are Hello Kitty on a stick.
That's going to be an animated GIF if I've ever seen one. I know you people. I've seen them before. Anyhow, well, we have an exciting announcement to make today, one you've all been waiting for. The winner of the 120 gigabyte Zune is Brad C. from South Carolina, or Murphy 1D as he's known in the forum. So congratulations. Hey, what's that you got in your hand over there that you've been fidgeting with the whole time I've been doing my read?
Well, it's either the perfect fingerprint catcher ever or fingerprint catcher. I'm also really over shiny technology. If you're gonna make it shiny, set it up so it doesn't work to capture fingerprints.
I understand what you mean.
This is actually the HP Mini 1000, specifically the one with the 60 gigabyte hard drive, but frankly, you don't care about that, and you don't care about that. Show them what they care about. Touch that keyboard.
Oh, man.
It's a netbook with a 92% keyboard, 92% of a full 104 keyboard.
Pretty much exactly the kind of thing that I've been looking for. Because I really wanted a netbook. I wanted a small form factor laptop, just like this.
It's the biggest keyboard we found on a netbook yet. Atom powered, which is good, 1.6 gigahertz processor. You have to get used to the left and right mouse buttons, because the mouse buttons are literally to the left and right of the touchpad, which takes a little bit of getting used to.
Well, yeah, but you can use the touchpad also as a button click.
Yeah, but
so if you're not into that,
if you're into the clicky thing, it's an unusual position for the keys. Watch the battery. It's a 3-cell lithium-ion battery, no 6-cell batteries until January. 360 gigabytes with an 8.9-inch screen and 8 gigabytes of storage, which is not enough storage. The big drive, that 60 gigabyte drive, adds a whopping $60 to the price, another $50 for the 10.2-inch screen that you're looking at there.
How much is it total?
About $450 in that configuration.
Really?
The base configuration is about $350.
Oh, dude, I'm totally buying this.
They also offer, it's cool, they're also offering the option of a internal EVDO modem for $200. You can get Bluetooth along with a Wi-Fi adapter, which is really cool. These are starting to get really good. The only thing that's really missing from this, especially if you're a sales type person, is a video output. HP reserves that for the Mini 2133 models. They're for the business folks.
I wonder if you can get these tops customized.
They have another custom top. I do not believe you can customize
nice
them yourself. The swirlies
well,
are
yeah,
nice.
that's what I meant. I meant having different options.
I'm tired of, my iPhone has the same problem. Actually, most products out. Dear technology industry, give up on portable objects that are shiny and gather fingerprints. It's pissing me off.
I don't mind shiny from time to time, but yeah, I mean, especially with like the new screens on like the MacBook Pros and the MacBooks, just the ultimate glare factor is kind of ridiculous. That's on a screen though. This is on the actual product, and it's not that bad. I mean, as long as you don't care about a few fingerprints, it's not going to kill you.
I find the fingerprints aesthetically displeasing. This is actually yeah, you know, like I said before, the Atom processor, I've said it before, the Atom processor is kicking it for these. This has a lot of potential. I want a little bit more battery life. That's all I'm asking.
I am
intrigued. Which will be out in January.
They made a whole nice forum thread for me in the forums about different netbooks that I could look at.
And there's a million of them.
I love those guys. But there's still more to come, especially if you want to upgrade your PC. We have ExtremeTech.com's Jason Cross in the house to break down what cards and processors you need to be looking at for your next upgrade. But first, we want to thank one of the sponsors that makes today's Techzilla possible.
It's time now to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of Techzilla, the PSP 3000. If you're hankering for some fun on the go, check out the PSP 3000. Sporting an ultra-crisp, super-wide display, this portable 3D entertainment system is now available in the Ratchet & Clank Entertainment Pack. This includes the Ratchet & Clank Size Matters game, as well as a National Treasure 2 UMD movie, a PlayStation Network game download voucher for Echo Chrome, a delightful puzzle game, and a 1 GB memory stick duo. Of course, with the PSP 3000, you also have access to great games, blockbuster movies, your music and video library, and so much more. So whether you're on a plane, train, or automobile, the PSP 3000 lets you bring the fun and entertainment with you and makes any situation better and more interesting. Welcome to this week's Freebie Download Pick, a free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. This week's pick, FooBar 2000. If we had a top 10 list of questions, an audio player that isn't iTunes or the Windows Media Player would make it every single week. And there's only so many times you can tell people that really, Winamp is much better now. Enter FooBar 2000, which offers native support for just about any format that's been littered across the internet, or with a quick download, along with a super clean and super easy to customize interface. It's also a ripping tool, supports replay game, packs great tagging capabilities, can transcode all supported audio formats using the converter component, and it's got a host of third-party plugins. The only downside, it's only for the XP and Vista users out there. But if you're on Windows and you need a feature-rich audio player that's free, you should check out FooBar 2000 today. It's the holiday season and economic crisis be damned. The Techzilla crew is looking for shopping advice, especially around graphics cards and the new i7 processors. A ton of questions have been sent in. Which cards provide the biggest bang for the buck? Is the new i7 all that? What's the most appropriate card for a home theater PC? And there are many, many more. So many, in fact, we decided to get our fave GPU expert, ExtremeTech.com senior technology analyst, Jason Cross, back in the studio to outline a buying guide and answer a few of your questions. Jason, welcome back to the show.
Hello, my friend.
You are up to your eyeballs, your ears, your hair follicles with graphics cards.
Yes.
And actually, there's about $2,000 worth right here?
No, they've everything's getting cheaper, so maybe $1,000. No, yeah, about $1,000.
About $1,000.
Something like that.
What's got you more excited right now? The new CPUs from Intel or the last round of graphics
They're
cards?
both really good. The new CPUs are great stuff. Most importantly, the new motherboards, many of them support both SLI and Crossfire, so you no longer get locked into dual GPUs from ATI or dual GPUs from NVIDIA and stuff, so that's cool.
The i7 boards have amazing specs, but there doesn't seem to be a single one that's under $250.
No, it's all super expensive stuff right now. Okay. It's all premium high-end. There'll be another chipset coming up maybe second quarter or summer-ish next year. That will be the affordable ones, but until then it's all going to be expensive.
Expensive. So is NVIDIA still sitting on the cost and power supply is no limit to the amount of power or money it will suck down in terms of pure GPU performance?
Not for money. They're still drawing a lot of power, but all the prices are come down. They've come, and ATI has been giving them such stiff competition that they've lowered their prices dramatically. There's a real battle going on, which is good. It's great for consumers when they start having a real price war, which is what's happening now.
Cost is no object. Which card are you buying for 3D gaming?
Probably this is ATI's dual GPU Radeon 4870 X2. It's probably the fastest single card you can get. Sometimes the GeForce GTX 280 is the faster one, and it's a little less expensive than this. And of course, if you want to load 2 or 3 of those in a system with that supports it, then that would be your money is no object thing. But
Well, at this point, are 2 chips on a single board performing as well or better than SLI or well, in this case, it would be Crossfire?
Well, NVIDIA's not actually even doing it right now.
Really?
They don't have a new product that is 2 GPUs on a board. Probably because their latest GPU is something like 1.4 billion transistors, and it's really big and really power hungry, so they can't really do it yet. So ATI is the only one really doing a dual GPU single card, and it's pretty much the same thing as Crossfire. If you had 2 Radeon HD 4870 1GB cards, it'd be pretty much the same thing as that, except it would take 2 slots.
Yep, for a flurry of questions from Twitter?
Sure.
Okay.
I love the Twitter questions.
There's a stack of them here. What's the best value price mid-range PCI-Express graphics card available now from Robert Ritz 88 and Smarty Hall?
Smarty.
I should say at Smarty Hall and at Robert Ritz 88.
At Smarty Hall. Okay. That's got to be made up.
The best mid-range. Well, what's the best mid-price
There's
card?
2 things that people consider mid-range. There's the just sub 200, and then there's the just sub 300. And ATI and NVIDIA are both kind of trading off wins in both categories. So in the sub $200, which is the price category I like, the GeForce 9800 GTXs here are about $160 or so now, 160, 170, and also roughly the same price, Radeon HD 4850s. Either of these, both really good. This one's faster in this game, that one's faster in that game, this one's faster at high res, that one's faster at low res. I mean, they trade off victories depending on the game and stuff, but you're not bad off buying either one of these. The only thing I will say is that this is sort of a stock card. You'll notice it's a single slot card with 1 power connector. There are versions of this available that usually cost like $10 more that are double wide coolers like this, that fill up 2 brackets wide. I suggest getting one of those because that thing runs hot.
Really?
And the versions out there from vendors like HIS and Vision Tech and stuff that are double wide run a lot cooler.
Well,
get the double wide one. It's worth the extra 10 or 15 bucks.
So off-brand cards or name brand cards? It's actually a question we've had from a couple of people.
There's not a huge difference anymore. It's not.
They all seem to be the same spec design, and then it's more like the cooling and the game bundle.
It's the cooling. Sometimes they overclock them a tiny bit. The overclocking isn't going to make a huge difference, So and there's a lot of what you would call name brands these days. Right. There's not a lot of what you would consider off brands.
Just because it seems like an off brand to you doesn't mean they're one of the best selling vendors out there.
Yeah, like worldwide they may sell zillions and zillions and they're new to America or something like that. Like Palette is.
Taking a step down on maybe you're not a gamer but you want discrete graphics performance, $300 for a GPU CPU motherboard combo, or is it just? It almost seems like there's too many options out there.
300 for all of those things is kind of a lot, but you can get a dual core Core 2 Duo like a E8500 cheap. That's a good, nice cheap option. And whatever cheap $100 motherboard that supports it. A couple of gigs of DDR2 800 megahertz RAM is super
$40 now.
super cheap now. And then here's your good cheap $100 graphics option. A GeForce 9600 GT is sub. I don't know. Those are like $79 or something like that.
Really?
It's gonna be way. It's not that great, but it's gonna be 10 times better than integrated graphics. Just never use integrated graphics if you can afford it. So
only use integrated.
So I mean, all of that together, it's not that much,
That should actually be well under 300. You actually almost have to work to get. You have to step up from the 8500 or something.
Well, then you got to get a CPU cooler, and you pay tax and shipping and blah blah. But that's around that ballpark, and that's going to be a good upgrade if you got a 3 or 4 year old computer that's really aging.
Your $500 PC from 3 years ago will get a nice boost.
Yeah.
Kailetsu32, which is an annoying name to say, I apologize, but it's a tough one. He kind of sums it up. Is the i7 really that amazing? People are like, I don't understand. Because it's interesting because like the prices overlap with the top of the line Core 2 Duo Extremes. It is a quad core processor, which a lot of people don't realize. They're all the i7s are quad core.
It's a quad core with hyper-threading, so it's actually 8 virtual CPUs. You open up that task manager in Windows, you see 8 CPUs because it's 2 threads per CPU.
Great for sub-rendering applications. Not so useful for video games right now.
Most games not. There are a few games that are really threaded really well, not that many of them. And if you happen to have a really good graphics card where you're kind of CPU limited, they'll be faster for that. But for the most part, not super great for games. Great for rendering, great for folding and all these other those sorts of applications. things that are limited by memory bandwidth. They've got a ton of memory bandwidth. So.
Which leads us nicely into, with the Core i7 using triple RAM sticks, will 6 gigabytes in a 3x2 gigabyte configuration work better than 8 gigabytes in a 2x4 or 4x2 gigabyte configuration from ADD Andy, who I think has attention deficit disorder issues.
Yeah, you always want triple sticks.
Okay.
Whether it's
3 is the new 2.
3 is the new 2 for the Core i7 motherboards. There's the Intel boards are weird because they have 4 slots. And then one of those, slots 3 and 4 are kind of split, and you get weird performance degradation when you start populating all of them. And then a lot of the other brand boards from MSI and Asus and all have 6 slots, and you can just populate all 6 and get. So you want to go in multiples of 3, and they're selling kits now. They're selling kits that come in 3s. Go that way.
So if you're looking for an i7, you're looking at probably new memory. Because you need DDR3, a new motherboard, and the processor.
Yeah, and the DDR3, if you don't get the super high-speed 1800 megahertz crazy overclocker stuff, you just get the 1066 stuff that it supports. And the CPU, get the lower-end one, the 920 or whatever, which is faster than the top-end Extreme Edition of the Core 2 quads. Then that's not too expensive. That motherboard's a killer, though.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to be probably between the motherboard, the processor, and the memory at least $600 or $700.
Yeah, processor you can get in under $300, and it's a really good CPU. RAM's not all that much, but $250 for a motherboard. That makes it expensive quickly. It's still a great investment because this is their future socket for a while and for the next round and so on. So.
Yeah, it'll be lasting you a long time. All right, on the subject of the i7, is the Core 2 Duo dead? What's the best Intel Core 2 Duo for the buck? Power versus price, please. Fee 501st. Everybody's like, what? No more Core 2 Duo? Do you even remember the Core 2 Duo?
Yeah, I mean, at a certain price range, then that's what's left. And there's no dual cores coming in the new architecture for quite a little while yet, so that's still very viable, and they're great deals. I don't even know what's the exact best one. My colleague Lloyd Case is actually doing this quad-core Roundup for next year. That's going to be it's like every currently shipping model or so of the Intel quad cores. So go check that out next week or something or so. But until then, I think it's the 9200 is the lowest end 9000 series quad core, the new 45 nanometer stuff, and those are the best.
Obviously at the high end, if you can afford it, go with the i7. If not, would you even go for one of the quad core?
I would not get the $1,300 i7, the Extreme Edition one.
Right.
It's just not. Money to performance, it's not that great. The lowest end i7 is great. It outperforms the best quad core they had before.
Got it.
So I would get that. Other than that, go with the $200 or less Core 2 Duos.
Because it also seems like the prices seem to be jumping all over the place right now with like holiday supplies or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Got some more graphics card questions for you. Well, actually, we'll do a quick fire. HDMI support, video RAM, 512 megabytes versus a gigabyte. And how much power are we looking for in the new year? Are they throttling back on the power requirements?
Not really.
Okay.
I wouldn't look for that to happen. If you're going to have a really high-end graphics card in your system, you want a good 550 or 600 watt power supply, and look for the E85, 85% efficient, silver or whatever.
The one that actually certifies that it really delivers the power it says on the box.
Yeah, and does it with the conversion with good efficiency. Get one of those. And if you're going to do high-end cards in like Crossfire or SLI, where you're going to put a couple of them in there, start going at the 800 or more. If you're just going to go for a mid-range graphics card and you have a mid-range CPU, the 450s are plenty good, and as long as you get a nice efficient one.
At what point do you need to look at like a 1 gigabyte card versus 512 megabytes?
Yeah, they're playing around with the memory numbers. You can get cheap cards with a gigabyte, and they're just trying to sell to people who think a gigabyte's better. And on the
more faster.
On the cheap cards, it's not. You really have to get into the cards that are in the price range of this one. This is the GeForce GTX 260 with 216 cores. This is probably the best sub $300 card right now. This and the Radeon HD 4870 with a gigabyte. And this has a little less than a gigabyte, but that's the price range where a gig starts to matter. It's when you go higher resolutions, start adding anti-aliasing and stuff on.
Are we talking like 19 by 12 and higher? Or?
Yeah, 19 by 12 and higher, 4x anti-aliasing. That's where it starts to make a difference.
So
the
DX10
DX10 titles are actually
monitor.
starting to use up a lot of video memory for textures and stuff too. So
textures are really getting huge.
they're getting huge, and just models and stuff like that. So the newest crop of DX10 titles are showing more difference for having more memory than the older DX9 games.
Any recommendations on home theater PC cards?
Stick with not this exact model, but these sub $100 cards will come in flavors that have passive coolers on them, or at least really, really big fan. Like they'll do a really low end card like that that's really wide and has a really big fan on it that's made super quiet for home theater, or it just has a big heat sink and no fan. Look for those because what you want in a home theater PC obviously is super quiet.
Are there any are any of the 3D cards accelerating the unpacking of the Blu-ray disc at this point?
They all are. Both ATI and NVIDIA's latest cards do excellent video decoding. It's top-notch performance, quality. You'd be hard-pressed to find a piece of consumer electronics that can equal it.
So basically, once you've hit
Unless you spend a whole lot of money.
Your $100 price range, you're good for a Blu-ray home theater PC.
Everything, like even the super cheap, even the $59 cards. I mean, now they're just monster video decoders.
I like that thought.
Yeah.
Jason, awesome to see you as always. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to catch more of Jason's reviews, do yourself a favor, check out extremetech.com. Benchmarks, reviews, how-tos. It's the ultimate site for any true PC performance enthusiast. It is amazing and a delightful read. Go there every day. Coming up, if you're in the market for a new HDTV or Blu-ray player, do not buy anything until you've heard what PC Mag's Robert Heron has to say. You and your wallet will thank us. But first, we want to thank one of the sponsors that helps us bring Techzilla to you.
Today's show was made possible by NVIDIA Speak Visual at speakvisual.com. When you think of NVIDIA, you think of 3D graphics and high-speed gaming PCs. But with NVIDIA's new technology, even non-gamers can harness the power of NVIDIA's graphics processors. And for content developers who are looking for a new and amazing experience, Adobe CS4 is now NVIDIA GPU accelerated. From rich images in print, video, and film to dynamic digital content for a variety of media, NVIDIA GPU-accelerated Adobe solutions can be enjoyed by anyone who creates and interacts with visual information. But don't take our word for it. Visit speakvisual.com, where you can learn about NVIDIA, the visual coolness that NVIDIA enables, such as digital art, photography, movies, games, 3D modeling, and how you can speak visual with NVIDIA. And if you have something to say to the world, you can upload your content for an opportunity to have your work projected larger than life on the side of buildings across the world and broadcast online. This is your chance to show the world what you have to say. So head on over to speakvisual.com and support us by supporting NVIDIA. Looks like it's time for another websites we just can't get enough of, a website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick, gizmine.com. I have an addiction, the kind of addiction that I can only feed about once a year. My sickness is for Japanese toys and gadgets, but it's always been a gamble to find a way to purchase them online. Now it's easy with Gizmine. This site features tons of great gizmos from our friends in the Far East. It's one of the most complete and well-organized Japanese gadget sites that I've seen. My favorite way to browse is by using the categories on the left. Search for kawaii gadgets, which are cute, vintage and retro, and even the most wacky. Or if you need to complete your vast collection of pink USB dongles, you can also search by color. Since most of the products are shipped directly from Tokyo, there's a good chance that all the instructions and manuals are written in Japanese. So either brush up on your language skills or take the adventurous route and try to figure it out for yourself. They don't only sell the wacky things, there are also cameras, headphones, watches, and other gadgets that you can't easily come by here in the States. So if you're looking for that robotic chick or a pencil sharpener shaped like a nose, you'll find the perfect Japanese gift on gizmine.com. With the holiday buying season in full swing, you've got a ton of questions about HDTVs and high-def video. So we figured it was a good time to get PCMag.com's HD expert, Robert Heron, back on the show and to set us straight on the best HDTV buys. Welcome back to the show, Robert.
Thank you, Veronica.
So good to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
So the last time you were on, you made the distinction that plasmas were superior to an LCD of comparable size.
Yes.
which people have been talking about quite a bit lately, actually, because they're trying to make that decision.
They refuse to believe.
So that does still hold true, then? That hasn't changed too much since the last time?
I have one particular plasma that blows away every other display that we'll talk about in a little while. But
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it worth upgrading if you bought a new set, say, in the past 2 years or so?
Probably not.
You're still safe?
Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, they were making pretty darn good TVs at that point. Reasons to upgrade now would be anything, maybe you're eyeballing that digital transition, which really only applies to you if you are, say, receiving your programming from over the air. And in that case, you want a digital tuner built into the TV rather than using a separate standalone box. That could be one reason to maybe upgrade a smaller bedroom TV or something like that to a new one, if you're still using an antenna. But otherwise, there's just something to be said about big screen, flat, widescreen TVs compared to the old tubes, especially when you watch movie content, because everything that you see at the movies is a widescreen format. And the detail, the resolution of modern TVs too, really lets you take advantage of not only the best sources of video that are available today from your cable and satellite providers, but disc formats. Everything from DVD on up to Blu-ray will look better on that new TV.
So a lot of people this holiday season are trying to find something in the sub $1,000 range. What are some recommendations that you have for that?
I just finished a review of a brand new 22-inch Toshiba TV, the 22AV500U, and it is wonderful. It's about $340 online right now.
How big is that one?
22 inches.
Just 22 inches.
It's available in 19 inches as well in the same series, and the 19-inch model actually comes in black and white if you need a different frame color to match the decor.
For a second I thought you were like black and white screen, like no color. I'm like,
no
that's
color.
retro or something.
It's all a monochrome world.
That would be so weird.
One thing that Toshiba does better than a lot of other companies is color consistency with their displays. What you get is very accurate color right out of the box, and that's something I really appreciate. Another model that's out there right now that is a terrific deal is the 42-inch Sharp 42SB 45U.
You gotta love those names, huh?
Yeah, I wish they just call them like Sam or something simple, but no.
Bob, the Sharp TV.
But for about $900 online, you have a 42-inch screen with 1080p resolution, and the performance in my lab actually measured out better than the company's newly announced D65 series. So if you're going, okay, here's the slightly less expensive, so-called less expensive model compared to the new D65 series, it turns out the current value is actually a slightly better performer.
What are some of the other cool features that one has? Mostly
just the resolution. The other thing too is every TV I'm mentioning does perfect HD video processing in the sense that if you're receiving, say, 1080i broadcasts from over the air, all of the TVs I'm talking about properly deinterlace them into a true progressive picture with full detail, with minimizing any jagged edge artifacts or other anomalies that can distract you in the viewing experience.
Now, if you've got a little extra cash burning a hole in your pocket this holiday season, what do we have for people willing to spend around $2,000?
There are a lot of great options. I think one of the best improved companies as far as HDTV manufacturers this year is Samsung Electronics. Terrific lineup of everything that they currently offer. I can't really pick one out to say, oh, that's the one to avoid. Unlike last year, where I could pick a couple of models out that were just wow. Anyway, if you can go 52 inches, or you need a 52-inch screen, but perhaps you can sacrifice something, say like 120 hertz display technology, they have the LN52A 550 series. That's the 5 series panels from Samsung. Terrific, excellent, arguably the highest contrast for a 60 hertz panel. Out of the box, terrific color quality with their movie mode, and good overall video. Like I mentioned before, perfect HD video processing in addition to just pretty decent standard def up conversion as well. So
you would say then Samsung at the 52 and 46 inch ranges?
If you have to have, say, even better contrast and 120 hertz technology, their 6 series panels are some of the top sellers right now, and they have those available in 40 to 52 inch screen sizes, but you can get the 46-inch model for about the same price as the 52-inch 5 series model. So you have good value there. Now, of course, if you can step up another $100 or so, they have a 7 series panel, which is just delicious to look at.
Delicious.
Yeah, I reviewed the 52-inch version, but the 46-inch version is about $1,600 online. Terrific.
That's still in the sub 2,000 range, so that's not too bad.
It features, all of the Samsung TVs this year feature great multimedia support as well. They all have USB ports for pictures and music. The 7 series steps it up with a Ethernet jack on the back that you plug in. It's a DLNA compliant device, the Digital Living Network Alliance standard. So if you have your NAS device or personal computer in the room, or I think even your game consoles nowadays support it, but you can stream the content from those devices right to the TV itself over the Ethernet connection.
But they were showing that off at CES last year, I think, weren't they?
Good deal. I hope so. That's just a really neat feature. And the streaming video support includes HD formats for H.264 and other formats as well.
Anything other than Samsung this time of year?
Well, one other brand is LG. They're another company that really took a look at what they were doing last year and made some significant improvements, specifically color quality. Consistency and just color accuracy are top notch nowadays. They also include sets of controls that anybody who's into really fine tuning a display will definitely appreciate. One of the best sets of controls on any TV available today. They also have a new LG X model. I want to make sure I get that right. It's available in 42 and 47 inch screen sizes, and it's about 1.75 inches thick. So if you're looking for that super thin model, on the Samsung side of things, there's actually an 8 series, which is about as thin as well. So it's just, when you start seeing TVs that thin, you almost see them flex a little bit when you pick them up, and it's like, ooh, ooh.
That is a little bit
But
freaky.
it's just neat. If you're doing a wall mount or something like that too, it's nice to have a thinner display.
Well, someday we're going to have giant OLED screens.
Hopefully.
We'll be able to roll them up and put them in our back pocket and take them with us.
That would be the best. One other quick thing I just have to mention about Samsung, and I wish every company would do this, but Samsung actually realizes that as TVs ship today, the modern televisions, they're essentially computers, and they all run on various bits of software. And Samsung's one of the few companies, one of two that I can think of, and this one definitely the best, but they supply the firmware updates for their TVs online for the users to download, load them up on a USB key, plug it right into the side, boom. Practically every model that I've mentioned today has a fix that's available online for something that might not be very obvious, but hey, at least they provide it.
If it has the Ethernet port on the back, can you just phone home and do the update that way?
I ask them that every year, and nobody's doing it yet. So that has to be one of the next things they're going to probably add very soon. Like call home, check yourself. If you can update, let the owner know.
Exactly.
It should be that way.
So if you have unlimited money, if you can spend any amount on a TV this
Yeah.
holiday season, what would you recommend?
Well, there's a $185,000 front projector from Meridian that I would really, really like. But, okay, I need to buy a house first.
Right.
If you can't afford Meridian's reference projector, 10 megapixel resolution.
That's hot.
It's beautiful. Pioneer Plasmas, the Kuro series, the best 50 and 60 inch displays on the planet. Nothing else. There is no other TV out there available today that delivers better real world contrasts, around 9,000 to 1 if you're into the number thing. Perfect viewing angles. I mean, plasma off axis is just going to be phenomenal. The screen material, though, is something that a lot of people don't realize, but Pioneer Plasmas use an optical grade plastic rather than the glass surfaces you see on most plasmas. Way less reflective than some LCD screens I look at. And on top of that, in a well-lit room, like say the studio, the screen color is super dark so that it maintains apparent contrast very, very well. You also have that perfect HD processing, and it has the DLNA support for video, audio, picture streaming. Every picture format that I'm aware of is supported through that TV as well. So.
Excuse me, that's a little bit of drool coming down the side of my mouth.
Phenomenal. Honestly, if you can't, the 5020 is about $2,600, which isn't bad. The 50-inch version. 60-inch version gets closer to $4,000. If you can step up from that, take a look at their Elite Series or their Signature Series panels for even higher levels of control in terms of picture quality. But just right out of the box, the Pioneer Kuro is everyone I've shown this to is just like, wow, what is that? They just tag me on something. What's that one? I want that.
I want that.
Yeah, that's that's what I get a lot of.
So of course people need an HD source. What is your recommendation? Do you prefer cable or dish?
Ooh, I think that all looks like garbage to me.
Really?
Compared to Blu-ray. And especially when you get into, you'll see if you've got a good TV, a full 1080p screen, and you're looking at 1080i video on it, you will see the overly compressed sources of cable and satellite. It's hard to say one is better than the other in all situations. Each station is different. I see some HD channels that are using incorrect aspect ratios and squishing their video.
I hate that. We were just talking about that last week. It drives us crazy.
Is it History HD channel?
Yes.
They put letterboxing on a high def. Oh, I don't know going into it, but anyway, they need to fix their aspect ratio so my actors aren't all squished. But anyway, the bit rate for cable or satellite delivery, regardless if you're getting it over your coax line or through the air, it's never going to beat what Blu-ray can deliver. And when you're dealing with complex scenes, detail. Do you want to see 5 o'clock shadow? Do you want to see the individual hairs of 5 o'clock shadow, or do you want to see just a kind of a grayish tone?
That's one of the biggest fears of really good HD at the same time for people in our industry. It's like, must fix the makeup, have to.
It's better to have less makeup in HD, I find.
It's scary. So now that you say that you love Blu-ray the most, what players do you recommend?
PlayStation 3 remains one of the top players in the world for a couple of reasons. It's the only Blu-ray player that has built-in Wi-Fi, making it the easiest to connect on your local network for necessary firmware updates that every player requires. And that makes it very easy. It's also, because of all the updates, they're on the forefront of Blu-ray disc format feature support, namely the picture-in-picture feature and the online access feature for downloading content.
The BD Live stuff.
BD Live and Bonus View. in particular, those two features. It's also the fastest disc player in terms of load speeds because you have that cell processor grinding away in there. It's able to grind through some of the Java-heavy menus and other features that you see a lot of movies nowadays preloading. Right when you first put the disc in, you get this crazy load screen that can go on for a minute or longer on some players, and on the PlayStation 3, it'll just burn through that way faster than you're used to. Any
other models if they're not interested in buying a console for any reason?
Totally understand that. I have to say, of all the new Blu-ray players I've looked at so far this year, I hate to go back to Sony again, but Sony's BDP S350 is about $200 now. Actually, the price went back up just like this week.
That's not fair.
It was about to crest the $200 mark and go below, but now it's back up to closer to $250.
Oh, holidays.
I think there's a rush on this one. A few terrific things about this. Every Blu-ray player should phone home automatically and tell you if there's an update available for either bug fixes or compatibility enhancements, things like that. This actually does that. It's built in. It will just call out and say, hey, I have a firmware update available, blah, 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 go ahead. It also has terrific video up conversion for your old standard def DVDs.
Okay, now, we talked about that last week as well.
The PS3 is one of the best upscaling, up-converting DVD players out there, but it turns out the S350 is almost as good. It's right in that category. Also, it's super energy efficient. Now, your average Blu-ray disc player consumes about 25 watts. The Sony player will actually consume about 15. Which
Not
is
bad.
compared to what everything else is happening out there, it's impressive to see that level of efficiency.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to have to ask you a few questions of my own after we get off the air because we'll talk. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you want to catch any of Robert's HD review work, just surf on over to PCMag.com. If you want the latest in HDTV info, Robert is the man to follow. Plus, don't forget to catch him on DL.TV's live stream every Thursday at noon Pacific. All right, it's time now for a V-mail. This one's from Sherry out in New York.
Hi, Patrick and Veronica. I hope you can help me with the Christmas gift. I want to get some earphones for my niece and nephew. They don't like the hard earbuds because they fall out of the ears and they don't deaden any of the outside noise. So maybe you can recommend something around the $30, $40 range.
All right, before we get to your question, Sherry, I just want to say that you totally look like Liz Phair. Am I right?
Actually, I was like,
it's kind of
Liz
creepy.
Phair sent us an email question.
That's awesome.
Yes.
No.
Whip smart rules.
Sorry, had to get that out of the way. Okay, your question. Earphone size for kids. There's a few things that you actually kind of need to think about first. Make sure that the kids don't wear them when they're walking in the streets. It's pretty easy to miss oncoming traffic. We actually have a huge ad campaign going on in San Francisco right now that shows a guy on his butt, like in the street with his dog sitting next to him with his little paw on his leg, like, oh, you dummy, you got hit by a bus because you had your headphones on.
Don't let the last thing you hear be Mozart. It basically, like, you laugh, but
no, that wouldn't be too bad.
Pedestrians get run over in San Francisco all the time because people
funny.
drive like maniacs and because people walk around reading newspapers and playing on their iPhones while listening to music.
But we digress.
Volume actually is probably something to be considerably more concerned about because kids, they love the loud volumes, and earbuds can be cranked up ridiculously high and might cause permanent hearing damage. Matter of fact, one of my closest friends managed to pretty much destroy his hearing before the age of 18 because he lived with headphones and nobody really knew how easy it was to damage your ears at that point.
My parents would always say, if I can hear your music, it's too loud.
Yes.
And that's generally a pretty good rule to go by, but you still want to make sure. One product that you might want to check out are the iHearSafe earbuds.
So you should probably turn on the volume limiter in the iPhone.
Oh, you can do that too.
Or the iPod, I should say.
See, I was going to get to it, but the headphones that I'm going to mention all have built-in volume limiters.
There is such a thing?
There is such a thing.
I find myself deeply fascinated.
This is why I'm answering this question. Anyhow, iHearSafe earbuds and headphones, they're at iHearSafe.com. They keep the decibel level within a safe range, no matter how high the kids try to crank it. But there are actually more options out there for over-the-ear headphones, like cups, like the iFrog's iPod case and headphones that come with it, or the Kids Gear headphones, which have pretty big cushy pads that are comfortable for kids' ears, unlike the normal ones that might squish them down after a while or just make them kind of grouchy.
It's kind of amazing because it used to be like anything that was done, you know, if you're looking for like my first insert name of listening device here, they usually put these craptastic, you know, $2 headphones that were usually too big for the kids.
Or you could do
the
stock mod. You know, I'm actually planning on doing that with my Logitech headset for talking over Steam because for some reason the pads just crush my ears after a little while. So I have to make something a little more comfortable. Oh, but I also pinged my friend Jasmine France over at CNET, who I used to host the MP3 Insider podcast with. I'm like, she gets new headphones in every frickin' week, so she probably has a few good suggestions. She recommended the Sony MDR 222KD children's headphones. They don't necessarily have the best audio quality, but most 8-year-olds aren't gonna care too much unless they're very discerning, like I was at that age.
Hence your audio
That's a
engineering
lie.
lifestyle.
That's a total lie. Also, Ultimate Ears loud enough earphones, which are a little more expensive, but one of my personal favorite brands. I use Ultimate Ears in my day-to-day life, so I imagine that those ones are pretty awesome as well. And they're in-ear like the ones you were looking for. And finally, the AirDrive's interactive earphones for kids, which are perfect for kids that are super active because they have the loops over the ears so they can like run around and do whatever it is children do these days and not have their headphones fall out.
So they can be like on the swing set.
Yeah, you know, they could be at recess totally ignoring all their peers with headphones and listening to
Maybe
the
they're
latest
snowboarding with
Texzilla
the tunes.
podcast, for example. Get them
What a
started
lovely
early.
idea.
Like I said, all the above headphones and earbuds have the volume limiters, so they're pretty safe for those precious, precious little ears. Now, if you want to get your 15 seconds of internet fame, send us a video. All you need to do is record yourself in front of a video camera asking a question no longer than 15 seconds. Then upload them to YouTube and email us a link with video question in the subject line. No attachments, please. But first, it's time to thank one of our sponsors, the United States Air Force.
I'm Franz Workman. I'm an airman first class in the U.S. Air Force. This is the 7.62 minigun. It's got 6 barrels and can shoot 2,000 to 4,000 rounds a minute. These are the triggers. This is the low rate and the high rate, 2,000 rounds, 4,000 rounds. There's nothing like it. It'll definitely get the job done.
I want to do a quick shout out to Brain Tonic, the all-natural focus beverage. It's helping me focus right now, actually. The next time you order some, remember to use the code R3 for a discount on your purchase. So, questions.
We got a
some.
few in the old mailbag. The first one from Heath. He writes in, I'm finding it extremely difficult to find a 7.1 speaker system from Bose or Creative Labs to go with my 7.1 sound card on my super gaming computer.
Ooh.
What happened? Are speaker makers going into a slump? Heath.
A slump, eh?
A slump.
What do you think?
I think 7.1, well, there's a ton of them. If you're looking at the home theater market, especially the mid to high-end home theater market, ton, millions, zillions, more than we can discuss here without spending weeks talking about speakers. They never seem to take off on the whole PC gaming front, but there are still a lot of 5.1 speaker systems out there. 7.1 really requires, I think it just works a lot better in a big room. The extra 2 speakers that take you from 5.1 to 7.1 are left back and right back in addition to the surround, and they should be a few feet behind your head. Dolby actually has a great guide, an interactive guide to help you out with speaker layout. I just never have seen it. It's just, you know, console gaming, some PC gaming, it just never seemed to gain any momentum.
You really think you need a bigger room, huh?
I think it works better in a bigger room.
I can see
That's
how that
my
would make
personal
sense, yeah.
opinion. You know.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of wires going on too.
For gaming, I think 5.1's overkill. Unless I'm sitting in somebody
Really?
else's room. Well, you know, if I'm
I
sitting
don't
in
agree
somebody
with that.
else's room, 5.1 gaming, like a 5.1 system for gaming is great. If it's my little squirrely office, 5.1 gaming just seems too complicated to set up.
That's understandable, but if you've got all your consoles in your living room with your nice TV and
That's
your
different.
sound
I'm talking
system,
PC gaming at a
sound
desk.
system.
Well, it's just like there's a big difference. Like my living room, like I'll fire up. Well, actually, my living room's so narrow, I can't really fit the rear speakers
You
in
probably
there.
get a lot of phase cancellation and stuff.
It's the worst. Let us not discuss the acoustics from
Anyhow.
hell that are my living room.
One more
question.
One more question I think I can handle today.
Okay.
Before I lose my mind. Chad writes, have you seen those mini ITX motherboards? This thing takes a Core 2 Duo DDR2800 and has a built-in G4 7100, and it's the size of a router. I have absolutely no need for it, but I want to make something with one anyway. They're so cool. Anything. Not
Anything.
anyway. Anything. He wants to make anything with it. Anything get his little hands on.
Okay, if you've never seen one, mini ITX motherboards are really cool. They're 170 millimeters square, and yes, they are adorable. They're like little tiny motherboards, and you want to talk to them and put a little blanket on them. And they're not nearly adorable as nano ITX motherboards,
Snuggle 'em.
which are like 120 millimeters squared, or PC104 boards, which nobody in the real world ever sees, that are 96 by 90 millimeters and actually are pretty much an entire PC. They're so cool. What are they for? Depending on which board you choose, anything from a Blu-ray crunching home theater PC to a low power router. The mini ITX thing really started with VIA Technologies and their legendary C3 processor, which was mostly low power and could still run some form of Windows. These days, especially with Mini ITX, you can get just about any processor you want. If you want to see something really cool, go to mini-itx.com. They basically all they do is Mini ITX.
That's nice.
They live for the Mini ITX.
You're a resource center.
It's crazy. Basically, they have a lot of ideas and pretty much all the news coming out in the Mini ITX form factor, from car PCs to custom modded computers to just about anything. People do weird stuff with Mini ITX boards, and I fully support it.
Fully back that fully.
They're fully, totally. Totally, fully, and for all of you watching, we live on your questions, so email us, techzilla@revision3.com. Check out product reviews, how-tos. You ask us, we'll do it. But we need those emails, so don't be shy. Send them into techzilla@revision3.com.
Or even better, send us a video question. Think of all the fun you can have and the admiration of all your friends and family when they see your mug on the show. Just keep it to 15 seconds, upload to YouTube, and send us a link in an email with video question in the subject line. And as always, you can visit our forums at revision3.com/forum. Oh, and hey, guess what?
Is the revision3.com/store open?
Yeah, that's right. T-shirts, stickers, and all manner of cool Revision 3 show stuff is now available. To see what we've got, surf on over to revision3.com/store. And since it's gifting season, what better way to show your appreciation than some hot Techzilla gear? You'll be able to find it all on revision3.com/store. Thanks so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Until next time, you've been watching Techzilla. This week's peak, Fubar 2000. I'm starting to talk like you now. This week's peak. I'm under the influence of the Swedish intern. Help!
Techzilla. Can I get one of those? And no? Okay. I need an extra large version though. Oh, I'll pay. I'll pay good
I don't
money.
remember getting a DLTV shirt when I was on the show.
Oh, hot damn. I don't recall that ever coming up, but that will be addressed immediately.
Came up now, didn't it? Didn't it?
I like the way they grip your
Some other
biceps.
Guns. Welcome to the gun show. I always do that joke and it never gets funny. It's just
belly.
it's never funny.
It's all about the belly. Oh, did you guys all see Jizz My Pants
This one
from
was
Saturday Night Live?
You can't say that.
Yeah, you can.
We're live streaming.
Oh, whatever.
I
You can say it on regular
touching
TV.
him.
You gotta go watch the SNL skit right now.
Yeah, that's
It is
the
Oh yeah, the
funny.
Andy Samberg
Somebody
video.
else?
I didn't see it, but I saw it on BuzzFeed this morning.
I'm not wearing pants. I'm pantsless.
He doesn't wear panties.
No. Panties, no.
Panties.
I'm rolling commando today. I need to do laundry. That's
We didn't know that.
no.
We know that.
Too many people know that now. But you'll stay and listen if you want to hear what the best HDTVs are in the world at all price points.
I don't know what this means.
Everybody
I don't
knows the
wanna
moon
punch
is
him.
made of cheese. Why are you always trying to incite violence, Roger?
Punch him.
Roger's a hater.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Uh-oh.
It's not. No. It's.